Daf Tzadi Zayin Amud Aleph, second line from the top. K'yaytze b'dover ata omer. Continuing with the similar type of machlekes between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira about revealing the identity of a chayta. So we have a similar machlekes. L'gabe the pasuk Vayichar af Hashem bam vayela. So it says that Hashem was angry at Aaron and Miriam, and then he departed. Melamed shaf Aaron itztarei di Rabbi Akiva. So it says that he was angry at them. So to teach us that not only was Miriam Mitziras, not only did she have leprosy, but Aaron as well, he also had saras. So the pasuk only mentions beferish Miriam, but from this limud, Rabbi Akiva darshans that Aaron also was punished with saras. Amar lo Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Akiva ben kach hata aseh litenas adin. What this is doing is improper. Even if you're right, the Torah concealed it, and you are now revealing it. So even if you're correct, it's not proper. V'im lav, and if you're wrong, and if you're wrong, then it's even worse because you're being moitzi laz. You're saying that Aaron was a mitzvah when he wasn't. But Rabbi Akiva Darshan's bomb, what does he do with that? Yes, he was angry at both of them, but the tzaras, for Yehuda ben Beseira says, only was on Miriam, not on Aaron. Tanya Kamanda Maraf Aaron Stareya. The following Tana, the Brisa, supports the view that also Aaron was a mitzvah. Dirsi Vayif and Aaron and Miriam, they name it Seiras. So it says, literally, it says, Vayif and Aaron, he turned towards Miriam, and behold, she was a mitzaras. But Tana, Yudarshan Shapona mitzaras, that he departed from his own saras. Vayif and Aaron, that he, meaning his saras, left him, and he was cured from his saras, and now he looked at Miriam, but she was a mitzaras. Someone who suspects an innocent person, he is afflicted in his own body. He gets punished with a makkah in his goof. Moshe Rabbeinu Tained, he said that Bnei Yisrael will not believe him. Rabbi Shalom asked him to go and tell Bnei Yisrael that he's going to redeem him from Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu said that they're not going to believe me. But it was known, revealed to the Rabbi Shalom, that they will believe. Amar Loi, the Rabbi Shalom said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Hey Ma'aminim b'nei Ma'aminim. They are those who have faith, the descendants of Ma'aminim. V'ata'in seifcha lahamin. And you, in a certain way, ultimately, will kivyochol be lacking in Amunah. Hey Ma'aminim, they are those who have Amunah d'chsi v'yamin am. B'nei Ma'aminim, they're descendants of Ma'aminim, v'hemin b'Hashem. That the descendants of Avraham Avinu, that it says by him that he had Amunah, had trust and faith in Hashem. And you, by Meimariva, were kivyochol lacking in this element of Amunah. So he was choshid b'ksher. Where do we see that he was afflicted? And his hand was a tzara mitzayra. So he was afflicted with tzaras. Amar Rama Vitayim Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina Mida Teva Maharis Lava Mida Puranis. A Mida Teva comes quicker than the punishment. Dila Mida Puranis Ksiv Vayotzia Vinay Yaramir Saras Kashali. When Moshe Rabbeinu was afflicted, the Mida Ra, that he was punished with saras, it's only when he took his hand out from under his garment, from his chest. Then after it was taken out, then it was afflicted with saras. V'ilo v'mida teiva ksiv, but mida teiva it says v'yitzi michekoi v'nei shava kibsara. Micheku de shava kibsara. But when it says when it was cured, when it was healed, it was immediately as it was being removed. Michekoi, it immediately, not only afterwards, immediately as it was being drawn out, it was already being cured. So by the case of by the Moshe and Aaron were showing the Nisim at the beginning, showing the Nisim to Para and the Chartumim. So it says that Aaron's Mata swallowed up the Matas of the Chartumim. They were able to make their Matas turn into snakes, but Aaron swallowed theirs. It's a nes within a nes. One nes is kipshutoi, that his swallowed theirs, but it was a nes b'seich nes because it swallowed after it already was a mata, as it was returned and restored to a mata, which was a double nes. Then when it's not a mata, then it's swallowed up and swallowed up the other ones. So it was a double nes that it swallowed, and swallowed in the state of a mata, not in the state of a serpent. Coming back now to the halachas in the Mishnah. So the Mishnah said that if a person is zayrik mishusa yachid l'shusa rabim, or l'shusa yachid l'shusa rabim be'emsa, if he throws from a rishusa yachid to rishusa yachid and there's a rishusa rabim in the middle, then we have the machlokes Rabbi Akiva Machai v'Chacham Paichim. So the Gemara now explains this machlokes. Boy, Rabba, Lamatam Pligi. So when it says that he threw from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Yachid through a Rishus Rabim, what are the circumstances? Are we talking where it's lower than 10 Tvachim? Meaning, and it's in the airspace of the Rishus Rabim. The airspace of the Rishus Rabim only extends to a height of 10 Tvachim. So when he threw it through the Rishus Rabim, are we talking when it's that low? It's within 10 Tvachim of the ground. That's my wahapligi, and what's the machlokes? The Marasavar Amin Klutka Meshahuncha. The Rabbi Akiva holds Kluta, as long as it's within the airspace of the Rishus Rabim, even if it hasn't landed, it's considered to be munach, because otherwise it's just flying through the air. So where do you have that he's taking from a Rishus Yachid, that he's throwing from a Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabim? It has to be nach. It has to land. It has to come to a stationary position. So are we saying that it's within 10 Tvachim of the ground? And Rabbi Akiva holds, even though it's flying through the air, but we apply a principle of kluta. Kluta k'masheuncha. It's as if it landed on the ground. As long as it's within the airspace of the Rishus Rabim, it's considered to be landed, and therefore it's chayiv. Umar Savar, and the Chacham hold lo yamin klut k'masheuncha. And the Chacham say we don't say that kluta is like it landed. But if it would be above 10, which means it's higher than the airspace of the Rishus Rabim, so it's not flying through the airspace of the Rishus Rabim, difficult potter. Everyone agrees potter, because you can't say kluta in such a case, because it's not within the air of the Rishus Rabim. And if you say potter, now if a person is Masechet, if he passes something through from the Rishus Yachid through the Rishus Rabim to another Rishus Yachid, if he's Masechet, there he certainly would be chayiv even if it's above 10. Because that we have in the Mishkan, we have the case in the Mishkan where the Masechet, the kroshim, the boards for the Mishkan from the Agola to Agola, from one wagon to another wagon, passing over to the Rishus Harabim, passing over the Rishus Rabim rather. And that was on a height that was more than 10 Tvachim. So in a case of Masechet, of passing something over, let's say passing a board from one wagon to another wagon over the street, then if it's a Mala Meyud, then you'll be chayiv. Everyone agrees that you're chayiv. Now, so the issue is, do we learn out Zoyrek throwing from Masechet? So perhaps the machlokes is only below 10. But if it's above 10, if he threw something from the Rishus Yachid to another Rishus Yachid, passing over the Rishus Ram, but if it's higher than 10, everyone agrees you're potter, because we don't learn out Zarek Mi Moshe. Is that the explanation of the machlokes? Oidil, or maybe no. Lamalamas or Pligi. Perhaps the machlokes is above 10. That's a Mahal Pligi, the Marasavar Yalfina Zarek Mi Moshe. Rabbi Akiva says we learn out Zarek Mi Moshe, the Marasavar Lo Yalfina Zarek Mi Moshe. And the Chum say we don't. Avalamata miyod, but if it's below 10, Divra Kol Chayev, everyone would agree that you're Chayev. Perhaps my time Kluta Kamishun Chodami. Because perhaps the Chum also agreed to the principle of Kluta, and so long as it's below 10, everyone agrees that you're Chayev. Perhaps the Machlokes is only if it's above 10. Do you learn out Zarek Mi Moshe? Rav Yosef HaMilsi Boiler Rav Chisda, Rav Chisda had this question of Pashtan Nehale, or Pashtan Nehale Rav Hamnuna Maha, and Rav Hamnuna resolved it from the following. If he throws from Rishus Yochid to Rishus Yochid over Rishus Haram Atzman, it says it passes through the Rishus Haram itself, the Rishus Haram. So what is this emphasis on Rishus Haram Atzman? We'll see. Rabbi Kiva Mechai v'Chacham Paichim. Here's the machlekes. Now midakama Rishus Haram Atzman, since it makes a point of saying it passed through the very Rishus Haram, the Rishus Haram Atzman Pshita must be Lamatam Asar Pligi. It must be that it's below 10. It's within the airspace of the Rishus Haram. It's the Rishus Haram Atzma. Oh, and that's where the machlekes is. Ubamai. If you're talking about that it's mavir, why would there be an emphasis on below 10? Why would there be an emphasis on Rishus Haram Atzma? If it's mavir, even above 10 tvachim, you'd be chayiv. If one is moitzi masa load, it's above 10. If he passes it over in the over the Rishus Harabim above 10, chayiv, he's chayiv shkein masa b'nei kas, because that's the way b'nei kas, that's the way they carried and they transported the Mishkan in the Midbar. So it can't be talking in this case by mavir, because by mavir certainly he'd be chayiv even if it's above 10. And here it's saying, making a point of saying it's in Rishus Haram Atzma that he's chayiv if it's below 10. It must be talking by throwing. And it's only since it's a Rishus Haram Asma and that it's below 10 is chayv. But if it would be above 10, he would not be chayiv. So even Rabbi Kiva was machayiv, it's only below 10. So it must be that the machlekes is in kluta kamisha uncha, that's the machlekes. It's a machlekes below 10, do we say kluta or not? Upligi the Rabbi Lazar. And this argues with Rabbi Lazar. That Rabbi Kiva with Mechai says he's chayv even if it's above yud. Why does it say Rishus Haram Atzma? So Rabbi Lazar holds that Rabbi Kiva says that it's Lamala Miyud, he's Chayiv. Afilu Lamala Miyud. Meaning, now according to this approach, it means that Rabbi Kiva holds both of Kluta, and he's Chayiv Afilu Mala, and he's Chayiv Lamata as well. So he's chayav afilu lamala because he does learn out Zorik Mimayshet, and he's chayav lamata because in any event you're chayav and you would hold the kluta itself. And why does he say Rishus Haram Atzma? So it says, why do you say Rishus Haram Atzma? Not to tell you that it's only if it's below 10. Even if it's above 10, he's also chayav. The Rabbanan hold even if it's below 10. It's also potter. That the Rabbanan say you're potter in both cases. Number one, they do not learn out Zarek Mimayshet. And number two is that they do not learn out, they don't hold a kluta. So they hold even Lamata is potter. But this is at odds with Rav Chilgi Batuva. Rav Chilgi Batuva, he learns as follows. If it's within 3 tvachim of the ground, they are called chayav. Everyone would agree that you're chayav. If it's within 3 tvachim of the ground, everyone agrees. They are called potter. If it's above 10, everyone agrees that you're potter. You do not learn out. Where's the machlekes megimel vad yod? Between 3 tvachim from the ground and 10 tvachim from the ground, Rabbi Kiva Rabbon. And that's where it's a machlekes, and it's a machlekes, do we hold the kluta or not? If it's within 3 of the ground, everyone is moida that you're chayav. It's considered to be landed on the ground. If it's above 10, eino el mishum shvus. If it's above 10, so we do not learn out Zarek Mimayshet. There's only an Isser D'Rabbanan involved, as we'll see shortly, meaning if he throws it from a Rishus Yochid to a different Rishus Yochid that's not owned by him, as Rashi explains, this is not a question of whether Rishus Harabim is in the middle or not. In general, there's an Issur Rabbanan to take out from one Rishus Yochid to another Rishus Yochid without a Ruvi Chatzeres, because it has an appearance, Midrabanan, the Regaizer, it has an appearance of taking from a Rishus Yochid from one domain to another domain, so they were Geyser on such a case, if he takes from one to the other. However, if, as we'll see, if he owns both of those, then it's mutter. So but if he owns both of them, let's say it's from one balcony to another balcony, he owns both of the balconies, then it's mutter lecharchila. But if it passes over the Rishus Harabim from a height from between 3 and 10 from the ground, Rabbi Kiva says you're chai because he holds a kluta. The Chum do not hold a klut, and you're potter. We said that if he owns both of these rishuyas, it's mutter. So we're saying that if the rishuyas belong to him, it's mutter. Let's say that this is a kashan rab. If there are two houses, one on each side of the street. He says you cannot throw from one house to the other, from one balcony to the other. You cannot throw from one to the other. And Shmuel says it's mutter. Now Rashi explains the fact that Shmuel says it's mutter. It must be that both of the balconies belong to the same person. Because if they belong to different people, certainly Shmuel would agree that it's also that you need a Ruvechatzeres. The fact that Shmuel says it's mutter must be that the case is we're talking even if it belongs to the same person. And Rav says that it's also, let's say that it's what we learned before, that the brisa that says if the Rishua is Shaloi, it's mutter, let's say it's a Kashan Rav. More answers. The case, didn't we say that the case is, we said sign the case over there that it's talking that one is higher and one is lower. So over there's a reason to aser, because there the reason is that it's aser is because it might fall and it'll come to pick it up. That's for a different reason. Really, I'll tell you that Rav would agree that if both of them belong to him, that it's mutter, but in circumstances where we're afraid that he'll throw and it'll fall and he'll come and pick it up, there's a separate gzeira that he might come to pick it up from the Rishus Harabim. So, for instance, if one balcony is higher, one is lower, that's where he's going. But if they're on the same plane, then he'd agree that it's mutter. So we're saying that if it's within 3 of the ground, the Brisa said that everyone agrees that he's chayv if he throws through the Rishus Harabim because it's considered to land on the ground. Whereas what's the source that concept that we're saying that anything within 3 tefachim of the ground is lovud is considered like it's on the ground. So he says because a Rishus Harabim cannot be smooth, you can't make it smooth and flat, like for instance taking a plane and taking a piece of wood and making it straight and smooth and flat. So there's all kinds of contours in the Rishus Harabim, and there's bumps, and so therefore if something lands on a little mound in Rishus Harabim, we consider it landing on the ground because the Rishus Harabim naturally has all kinds of contours and little higher and lower elevations. So within 3, it's all considered to be on the ground. In fact, well, if that's the case, why only less than 3? Even 3. And additionally, if a person is making walls for a sukkah, and he's making the walls, and he's creating it from high down, top bottom. So he's now making the walls, he's weaving it together, and building it, and now he's coming from the top and he's coming down closer to the ground. If he doesn't reach the wall, doesn't reach the actual ground, as long as it's within 3 of the ground, it's considered to be a complete mechitza, it's considered to be one of the defanois of the sukkah. So, If it's higher, if the gap is more than 3 tefachim from the ground, it's psul. It's not considered to be a mechitza, a doishin. But ha'pachas migimel kshera. But if the wall comes, it's within 3, then it's kosher. So over there, why should we say that over there that within 3 is considered like it reached the ground? So why should it be kosher? So over there, why should it be kosher? It's nothing to do with flattening out the ground. There's a space. How can we view that space that it's as if the mechitza has been filled in? More answers. No, the reason is, really, I'll tell you that the mechitza doesn't have to reach the ground. It's not like we say that the mechitza, if it comes down and it's lower now, it extends within 3 of the ground, it's as if the space is filled in and it's touching the ground. Perhaps no, that's not the pshat. Perhaps the pshat is that the mechitza doesn't have to reach the ground. The reason that it's possible, if it's more than 3 tefachim from the ground, is because it's not considered a mechitza, because it's a mechitza shegadim boikim boy. That since the animals can run under it, it doesn't block the animals from running underneath. It's not considered a proper mechitza. But maybe I'll tell you, you don't have to have a mechitza reaching the ground to be a kosher mechitza. It's just if the gap is more than 3 tefachim from the ground, it's not a mechitza, because it doesn't prevent the animals from going underneath. If it's within 3 of the ground, maybe I'll tell you, it's not that it's filled in. It's not like we view it that it's filled in. It's just that there's no psul over here, because this gap is small enough that the animals will not run underneath it, so it's considered to be, or at least large animals will not run underneath it, so it's considered to be a valid mechitza. Well, that could be an explanation of on the bottom, but what are you going to say on the top? If they have the mechitza and it's within, say you have ropes that are within 3 of each other, and you have ropes 3 with each other, or you have a mechitza that's within 3 of the schach. So we say that as long as the gap is within 3, it's kosher. If it's more than 3, it's possible. Well, that has nothing to do with gedim boikim boy. You're saying that it's space, a gap within the wall. If it's within 3, we consider it to be filled in. If it's more than 3, we don't consider it to be filled in. Now, neither of the explanations that we had before, that you can't level out the ground of the Rishus Rabbim, or that the psul is, if it's more than 3 is gedim boikim boy, that doesn't apply to lamala when you're talking about the height of it. So where is this? What's the svara? What's the makor that a gap of 3, more than 3, is that we say that that's considered psul? That's considered a gap. But if it's within 3, it's considered to be filled in. What's the makor for that? Allah, the Gemara answers, called Pachas Mishleisha Kilovu Dami Hilchsa Gemirla. It's a halacha l'Moshe Misinai that any time where it's within 3, it's loved. It's considered filled in. So if you have a mechitza that's within 3 of the ground, if the space is within 3, it's considered filled in. It's loved. More than 3, it's not filled in. It's a gap. Whether it's the bottom, the middle, or the top, it's the same halach as halacha l'Moshe Misinai that within 3 is loved, is considered filled in.